Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. College football is just around the corner, and we're ready. And we're going to start breaking down conferences for you over the next several weeks here at Wager Talk. And this week we're going to start with a couple. First video, we're going to do the MAC conference, and where else to start in the MAC but our MAC attack expert, Brian Leonard. This is a conference you follow very closely, being from your roots back in the Cleveland days, and you went to Akron. You're a Zip.
I'm a Zip.
Yeah, you don't zip around too much.
Back before you were probably born, but 85. Yeah.
Absolutely was. You got a few years in between there. Even.
Yeah. Brian, the MAC conference, what we've seen the last several years, a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. Is anything going to change this year?
Not much. No, that's basically when you're going to get out of these smaller conferences, the Sun Belt and the MAC, and it's easier to find the guys that can run the routes and everything than there is the guys that can learn to tackle, and that's been the problem with the MAC. And I'll go by divisions here, and a couple surprises. I've got coming out of the East, which is the weaker division. I've got Bowling Green being the best team. A lot of people think Bowling Green is going to step back. Got a new coach coming in, Texas Tech coach, Mike Jenks, and then you've got Matt Johnson leaving. That system the last few years from Matt Johnson was fit perfectly for him. The new quarterback doesn't have as much of an arm, doesn't have as much of a leg to run around. I think as the season goes on, Bowling Green is going to be one of those teams that's going to have value at the end of the year. Ohio's a team that a lot of people are expecting good things out of. I expect them to be right there. Akron, I think, is a little bit overrated at this point. Very young team. He's lost some good players off of that team, Bowden. I think Akron's going to step back a little bit. Kent State, excellent defense, can't score. They were shut out. Offense was shut out 5 times last year.
That doesn't happen in the
No,
MAC.
that doesn't happen very often unless you're like Boston College's offense. But the defense is good. The offense is still going to struggle. Buffalo, I think, is the team we can make some money going against. I see a lot of other people that are up on Buffalo. I just don't see it. Leopold's second year there, good coach. I just don't think he has enough players at this point. Miami's another one that I think is still too young to compete. I've heard some guys on the radio that like this Miami team. They're an up-and-coming team. But Chuck Martin's third year, there's 16 returning starters, but it's because they had freshmen and sophomore doing the starting. At the end of the year, this team could come on. Early in the year, I still think they're too young. Out of the West is by far the best part of this conference. Western Michigan's the team to beat. PJ Fleck's had the best recruiting classes the last 3 years. His offense is terrific. Defense is good. I think they're the team to beat. Northern Illinois, last year when the quarterback went down, they went through 3 quarterbacks last year. When the first quarterback was in, they were a good team. And then as the season went on and more guys got hurt, they struggled at the end of the year. I think they're going to be back again. Toledo's another team that lost a lot of players, and they've got a first-year coach in there, Jason Candle, coming up. He was on the staff last year. I think this is a good team at Toledo. I think as the season goes on, Toledo may end up winning this conference. They have that kind of talent. Central Michigan, if you're looking for one team that is good on both sides of the ball, I think Central Michigan is that team. Central Michigan, great defense, and they've got a lot of good guys offensively. There's skill position sets, and they're deep. It wouldn't surprise me if Central Michigan makes us some money this year. Eastern Michigan and Ball State coming up the rear. Eastern Michigan's a little bit better. Defense is going to have to carry that team. Ball State's another one that I'm kind of against a lot of other guys on. I've heard Ball State being mentioned as a team on the rise. I don't see it. First year for Mike New there, 15 returning starters. That's a good thing. Well, last year they had 17 returning starters, and they scored 4.5 points less and gave up 8.5 points more. Just because you got returning starters does not mean they're very good. So that's one of the teams I'm looking to go against early in the season.
All right, Preston, anything that you disagree with Brian on his analysis of the MAC?
No, not really. I think it's actually a really intriguing season because typically you'll have Northern Illinois and Toledo kind of as the favorites. Last year you saw Bowling Green actually win it pretty easily. And this year the best and the favorites, Western Michigan. And personally, I think the second best team in the conference might actually be Central Michigan. I have personally played over 7 wins. They're the best defense in the conference by far, one of the best in the country. So they're a team to watch out for, definitely, and probably going to make you money if you're playing in good spots against the spread throughout the season. I also personally made a play on Bowling Green to win the division. Is it the East or the West? I couldn't even tell you unless I looked. It's the
Yep,
East. Okay.
yep.
So there, and it was about plus 235. And I actually looked. That was a few days ago, and I actually sent the guide out to you guys to get up, and it's actually better now by 20 cents. So you can get them. I think they're the best team in that division. The next 4 best teams are all on the other side in Western Michigan, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, and Toledo. So I think it's just good value at that price, getting 5-2 essentially on Bowling Green to win that division. They probably aren't going to win the conference. They probably take a step back after losing Babbers, and so. That's essentially my breakdown in a nutshell. As I agree with Bowling Green. I personally made a play there. Watch out for Central Michigan. I think they're going to win at least 7 games. And Western Michigan, I mean, they are the favorite for a reason. And they have a pretty nice schedule. I think that's ultimately why they'll probably win the division, is they get a lot of those tougher opponents at home. So
I just wanted to point out, when they're playing the non-conference teams, the Big 5 teams, I would much rather have a Western Michigan or a Central Michigan that are good on both sides of the ball than I would one of these other teams that score a ton of points, but their defense is terrible.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. The West is the much dominant division of that conference, and Western Michigan, the good point you pointed out is all of their tough games are at home this year.
That lines up for them.
So it's perfect for Western Michigan. On the flip side, I have actually Akron as my sleeper in the other division, and I know they're young, Brian, but he did have, I think he's got like 5 junior college transfers coming in.
Bowden always brings in junior college transfers.
And I think what I like about it, and you talk about the schedule, they're a team that their tough games, 3 of their toughest games are the final 3 games of the season. We always talk about young teams. When they hit the end of the season, they're going to be more mature. And if this team does grow mature during the course of the year, they've got a good chance. 2 of those 3 games are at home. And then I think they get Toledo on the road at the end of the season, Ohio on the road at the end of the season, which is always a big game for them. I think they have a chance. This is one of the teams that you talked about last year that did play some decent defense in the MAC. It's a high-scoring conference. We know that. They held 9 opponents to 21 points or less last year. That's not too many teams in the MAC can put that on their resume. So that's my sleeper team at a value, because I'm a little bit, I know Bowling Green's the class, but losing your coach, losing the offensive player of the year in the quarterback, you're asking to do a lot, but the program's in place, and we've seen it a lot of times where they just, the next guy steps in if they, keep running it, and the new coach coming in is another fast-paced coach. So shouldn't be that big of a difference for the offense.
The MAC is one of those conferences like the Sun Belt where your power ratings are going to change all year long, because you get a lot of fatigue, a lot of injuries as the year goes on, and these smaller conference teams, they don't have the depth. It's an SEC. I mean, these are all All-American players. Yeah. But when you get to a league like this, it's not who you're playing. Let's just say the schedule has a lot to do with it. Because we see early on a lot of teams will be really bold, and they'll play 3 or 4 power teams. And then they get into league action, and they're just so worn out they can't compete. So scheduling means so much to these MAC teams, and we'll see how these teams do all in the season.
All right, good stuff as always, and we'll be back with another conference. And don't forget, guys, each and every Tuesday at Wager Talk, it's $2 Tuesday. We pick one capper and offer his best bet for just $2. It's a great way to try a capper at Wager Talk if you've never tried them before, or if you're totally new to Wager Talk, it's a great introduction. Just $2 for a best bet every Tuesday at wagertalk.com. We'll be back with more as we preview another college conference for football.